Hey guys, my name is Travis Cook, and I'm doing my video presentation on how to change the oil in a skid steer loader. Step 1. Run the skid steer until engine reaches operating temperature. Commonly, engine's operating temperature is around 180 degrees. The reason why you're going to want to allow it to get up to that is it thins the oil, which will allow it to drain out a lot faster, and more of the oil will come out, so you'll have a cleaner oil change. Step 2, you're going to want to grab a drain pan big enough to hold the capacity of the oil in the motor. The main reason you're going to want to do this is because you don't want to create a giant mess on the floor that you're going to have to clean up, because cleaning up is never really that fun. So you want to make sure you grab one big enough. Most skid steers hold around 10 quarts of oil, so anything that holds more than that. Step 3, remove the dipstick or oil filler cap. The reason you're going to want to do this is it'll allow the oil to breathe, so the oil will drain out a lot faster, because if you don't, it's just going to sit there and go clog, 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 and it's going to take forever for the oil to drain. Step 4, remove the oil drain plug from the engine. That's a pretty self-explanatory thing on what it does. Once you do that, it'll allow the oil to drain out of the engine. Make sure you have your drain pan under there to catch the oil, or if not, you're going to have some problems. Step 5, you're going to take an SOS sample bottle of the oil. What you do is while the oil is draining, you just fill this little bottle up 3/4 of the way full. What you do is you fill out paperwork, which tells you, it will ask you for engine make, model, what type of oil, if the oil filter was changed during the sample, if the oil was changed during the sample, and then you send it off to Seattle to a lab where they test it to see if there's anything in the oil that shouldn't be in there, like hydraulic oil, parts of gaskets, or anything on it like that. Step 6 is you're going to want to spin the old oil filter off, and to do so is sometimes they're really tight and a pain in the butt to get off. So once you get it broke free, you're going to spin it off a ways, and then you'll see the oil start to bleed out of the filter itself. Allow it to bleed for a little while until it's done, then spin the oil filter all the way off. Make sure the rubber O-ring that goes on top of the filter came off with it. Step 7, you're going to get a new oil filter and you're going to spin it on. Make sure you clean the filter head off really well to remove all of the excess old oil. Make sure the new oil filter has an O-ring. Then when you're getting ready to spin the new oil filter on, take some new engine oil, rub it on the O-ring itself, and fill your oil filter up with oil, so that way when you start the engine, it's not going to start the engine. And when you put it on, you're going to put it on hand tight. You don't want to go any more than that. Normally it should go until you feel the oil filter bump, the O-ring on the oil filter bump the filter head, and then it's normally another 3/4 of a turn. The main reason you don't want to get it very tight is because it'll be extremely hard to get off when you go to do the next oil change. And make sure that you don't double up on the O-rings, because then it won't seal. Step 8 is you're going to put the drain plug back in the engine. That's a pretty important step, because if you don't, when you put the new oil in, it's just going to drain right on the floor, and what you just did was pointless. But when you put it in, do not tighten the new drain plug very tight. You want it tight to seal, but not too tight where it will damage the threads, because if you do that, then it won't seal and you're going to constantly be leaking oil, which is never a good thing. So just be careful on how tight you tighten it. Next step, number 9, is you're going to fill the engine with oil. Diesel engines normally take a 15W40 motor oil, and like I said earlier in the video, they take around 10 quarts. So as you're filling it up, just keep checking your dipstick, make sure you're not overfilling it, and then when you hit the point, once you hit the full line, go ahead and start the motor, let it run for a while, and then turn it off, and then check your oil and add oil if you need to. Step 10, you're going to run the skid steer and check it for fluid. Normally what I do is when I'm done with an oil change, get everything cleaned up, I usually take it for a spin around the shop, 5 minutes maybe, get everything nice and warm again. And then I come back to the shop, I park it, I let it sit for 15-20 minutes, and then I check the fluid and add if I need to. And this is my video on the 10 steps to change the oil on a skid steer. Thank you for watching.
created using Powtoon.